Giggins, who's a writer and a director and an Edinburgh local. Imagine, he's here all the time. Hello, Oliver.
Hello.
How has your Fringe been so far?
It's been interesting. How's yours?
It's been tiring, but you know, I haven't done anywhere near as much as everyone else. I hear you've done quite a lot this Fringe.
Fair amount. I tech at the Queen's Hall, so I've done I think about 13 EIF concerts, 15 EIF rehearsals, 15 performances of a show that I've co-written, directed. I've teched a couple of other things, sort of just on a one-off basis, and I've done a bit of reviewing as well.
So you've done a bit for the film festival and the Fringe festival.
So a bit for the international festival,
yeah,
and the rest is bits and bobs. They're just the Fringe.
So you're really involved with the festivals all over.
Well, I think there might be about 6 or 7 festivals happening in Edinburgh at the moment.
Not involved with all of them.
So yeah. I think there's technically still a very small minority.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, most people that come up here just come for the Fringe, which is weird because the Fringe is the thing that is extra to the other festivals. It's become a bit of a behemoth, really.
Yeah, I think it's the cancer that is now sustaining the body. And everything else is now just living off the fringe of, which used to be the fringe of it.
Yeah. So you did some theatre for the Fringe. Mm-hmm. How did that go?
It went well with a very, very big caveat. Mm-hmm. The show went well. We got good numbers in terms of the audiences. They all seemed to really like it. We had some positive audience reviews and some positive critic reviews. The tiny fly in the ointment was that about 6-7 days into our 15-day run, one of the actors hit her head backstage and had to go to hospital and was diagnosed with a concussion. And she tried to carry on. She did another day, which wasn't a good idea at the time. We didn't know it was a concussion, or otherwise we wouldn't have advised it. But in the end we had to carry on without her. So apart from being 1/5 of the cast down for roughly half the run, everything else went really well.
So did somebody stand in, or did you just go and just leave it blank? It's like, and somebody should have said something there.
There's a bit of both. Luckily, it was an anthology show, and we were doing a different anthology show each week. So we were able to use the stories that she wasn't in too much, either by reallocating the lines, and then anything that she was too big in just got cut. And there was one bit where we couldn't reallocate the lines, and so we did literally just get a member of the audience to come up and just said, right, stand there, do the same thing as everyone else. And that actually went really well. We were lucky the audience members were always game, and the audience as a whole always loves to see a member go up. So
they do. They really like to be involved a lot of the time. Not always. I have seen a few shows where the audience has been... Well, I went to see one the other day where some of the comedians were trying to get the audience involved and then getting very frustrated when they weren't getting exactly what they wanted from the audience, which, to be honest, is on them. But with theatre, I think people are maybe more game and carry on, possibly.
I don't know. I mean, it's a fairly small sample. We did have one because there was a couple of other points where we got members of the audience to do just one simple thing. And there was one performance where Kyle was the games master, and you went to the first person and said, right, come up on stage, and she just went, no. And then so he then moved on to the next person, and the next person went, no. And it was literally the first bit of audience interaction for the entire show, so that's one point where we go, oh my, this is not setting a very good start to this. If everyone else has learned, they can just go, no, we're in for a tough show. But those were the only times, so I don't know if we were just very lucky, or if Kyle was just very good at picking people, or maybe, as you said, maybe theatre audiences are just a bit more game, but
Maybe they're less scared, because theatre generally is less scary. Even if it's scary theatre, you're not quite as scared as, the comedian's going to make fun of me. I think they probably feel in safe hands that you're not going to...
Maybe not safe hands, but if you're turning up to a horror show that has some scary clowns on the poster, you just feel ready to deal with being in front of people.
Well, this is the thing. Clowns have got a very bad rap. Stand-up comedians can be a lot scarier a lot of the time, and they don't seem to acknowledge that to themselves.
No, I would 100% agree. There is a bit in the show actually, a bit that I wrote where we have clowns standing in for stand-up comedians, and to be honest, I think that is the bit where we were censoring ourselves to avoid something a bit scarier than just the creepy clowns would have been.
Exactly, but the clowns are like trying to keep it light, but strangely scary, even though it's like, hello, I'm a happy clown, why are you scared, why are you running? Whereas sometimes the people that are trying to make you laugh are more like, laugh, god damn you.
Especially if it's day 12 of the Fringe and everyone's getting a bit tired and maybe the show isn't going as well.
That's true. To be honest, I mean, I don't know, there's something about a clown. I met a lot of clowns and they're very nice people, but there is something a little bit sinister about them, even though they're very nice. I think it's because they're very nice, possibly.
Yeah, well, I don't really know. It seems to be a phenomenon. A lot of people seem to be scared of clowns. And I did look it up, and apparently Stephen King is partly to blame. But apparently it was a big factor in that. But I guess, something, it puts you off. Something that's trying to make you laugh can put you off a bit. And with the makeup and everything, it's sort of mostly human, but not quite. Yeah, but I don't really know what it is. We'd have to get someone who actually is scared of clowns.
Yeah. Well, I'm not scared of clowns, but I had a horrible experience when I was 4, where I went to a little circus, and the clown got me. I was desperate to get on stage, because you do want to get involved with things. But there was some sort of weird story, because it was a children's circus, weird story where we were going through the forest, and I was just laughing, and I laughed so much that I wet my pants, and he made fun of me, and sent me off stage, and was really horrible. So I've got a bit of a sort of resentment. He wasn't even a proper clown, he was just more like a teenager that was on work experience, but he was supposed to be a clown, so... Yeah,
that seems like very poor... work ethic. You actually, that's literally the best member of your audience. You've literally made themselves laughing,
and
then you ruin
mock them. And then you mock them. I was like, I was desperate to get up there. So that's probably why I'm. I don't know.
And I thought also you'd probably lose a lot of the parents in the audience as well, because they probably wouldn't be too amused watching a child be humiliated on stage.
I don't know. Other people's, parents of, parents can be quite cruel, especially if they're not your parents. Like, that's not my kid. Thank goodness for that. So I'm not sure really about that. So was that the only thing that went wrong in your show?
Leading question. Kind of yes, but there was something that happened. I suppose I should not mention the name.
No.
But the show before us was a magic show.
Oh.
And if anyone wants to look them up, it is the child of someone who's actually quite famous. But I won't say the name because that would be wrong, but feel free to look it up. Probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, sorry everyone. This person was a magician, and they had a routine which involved a knife and a member of the audience, and those things went together rather too well one night, and this magician sliced the hand open of the audience member, and so when we came in, and obviously the Fringe is a very, very tight turnover, so we had, I think, about 5 minutes before our show was supposed to start, obviously bearing in mind you need to get the audience in and you need to get yourself set up and all of that stuff, and there was just blood on the stage. Actual blood on the stage, and someone from the venue rushed in with a first aid kit looking for the audience member that was not there at that point. And so they were all quite busy, so it ended up being a member of the cast who was just, while setting up the stage, was just cleaning real human blood.
This sounds like it should have been front page news, but you kept it it's like discreet till now. Very discreet until now. Exclusive. Yeah. Oh my goodness me! See, this is it. Although there's some things that looks dangerous, you're supposed to go when it's all safe, really. Like ghost trains, like any fairground rides, like magicians. You're like, well, it's not really real. But sometimes, unfortunately, it is really real, and you can get hurt.
Yes. I mean, I feel I should add, I did not technically witness all of this.
No.
So I was there in the immediate aftermath, so I saw... But yeah, I mean, I guess... like
you have to deal with the aftermath.
Yes. But like you said about, fairgrounds and stuff like that, I guess there's an element of danger to most things. And I guess either if you're not prepared enough, or if you do something enough times, the odds of it going wrong at least once go up. And so, moral of that story is if a magician tries to saw you in half, don't take that chance.
Do not. Never do that. No. It's like there's a plot point in, is it The Prestige, where there's quite a lot of people, unfortunately, don't really make it to the end.
No.
It's the same person most of the time. But yeah.
We've got a bit of a pattern developing. We've got, don't trust clowns on stage.
Yeah.
We've got don't trust magicians on stage.
No. Trust theatre makers. Except that you've got concussion.
Exactly.
So maybe not entirely trust it. Don't trust anyone is probably what it is. Don't trust anyone.
Okay, maybe I should explain the concussion then before anyone starts blaming theatre people as a whole, or just So basically, it happened backstage. There were basically these big alcoves where stuff was being stored, and the performer in question bent over to get something out of a bag, forgetting the top of the alcove over their head, so smacked her head off the top of it. So
are they an equity member?
I don't know. I guess it would be worth asking.
If they are, then they can get money from this, and they should probably do that. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's definitely worth looking into. I will ask them. Yeah. So yes, that was. I mean, again, accidents happen.
Accidents do.
But she's fine, and that's fine.
But presumably the magicians had public liability insurance. I would hope so, because that sounds like they might need it.
Yes. If not now, then at some point in their career.
Yeah. The thing is, right, the whole thing about insurance and stuff, people do tend to go, we don't need that until it's too late. Really.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've got other projects on the horizon, have you?
Yes. So this show is, I think, doing a one-off podcast in the Edinburgh Horror Festival at Halloween, and I'm also working on another show, which is going to be an adaptation of some of E. Nesbitt's ghost stories.
Oh, cool.
Because most people have heard of Railway Children and Fire Children, but she was actually a really good author of ghost stories. And so, we're going to adapt some, and we're going to have E. Nesbitt on stage, because discovered some stuff in her autobiography, which is very interesting and kind of gives some of the background and some of the stories. So very keen to get rehearsing that in a couple of weeks after a suitable recovery period.
Yes, have a little sleep.
Or a big sleep.
A big sleep, not the big sleep, just a little big sleep. And you've been doing all the tech, so how's the tech going for other people's shows?
It's been, that's been going fine. By the time the fringe starts, you hope everything, you know where everything goes and how everything's supposed to happen, so then it becomes more of a repetitive action thing, which gets tiring, but mostly, there was this, on Sunday, after all the shows had finished, I went into work, and it was supposed to just be a very simple rehearsal, just 5.5 hours, basically just turning the lights on and off at the beginning and the end. And the stage has stopped working, which was a bit of a problem, because the stage is how we get pianos on and off by rising up and down. And we're doing 2 shows a day in that space, so it's quite important to either have the piano on stage when you need it or off stage when you need it. And the stage was just frozen, not at ground level, not at stage level, but this far off the ground. And So everything has been going fine, with a caveat in every single category.
Everything's going wrong. Everything's going wrong in a fine way. No, I think. Do you know Harry Styles? Not personally. Yeah.
No,
well,
no.
Apparently there was they had a big thing planned, and they were all running. All the dancers were supposed to run around a stage, and the people in charge of the stage put it the wrong way. So all the dancers were they choreographed it one way, and they had to try and everyone was like, well, this is a pathetic dance, but they were in actual danger, because they were and they were looking confused because they could have fallen off, and Harry Styles was like, eh. So these things are important. You need to. We're just talking about things going wrong here. There does seem to be a lot of things that go wrong in the world, in the theatre, in the.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've done pretty much every fringe since 2013, and I definitely say this is the one that's had the most things go wrong. So maybe I was just due that at this point. But
maybe. Yeah.
But yes, thankfully no dancers dancing backwards on a spinning thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so have you got many more tech jobs to go before the end of the Fringe and the festival.
No, this is more. What day is it today? Thursday. Yeah, just three more days. So it will all end.
Is the festival and the Fringe all ending at the same time this year? Usually there's a bit of an overlap.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the IF in one specific venue. So our last show there is Saturday. I don't know if that's the same for every other place. And I mean, technically the Fringe does try to go on till Monday or Tuesday, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's technically over on the 28th, but it sometimes goes on a bit longer, and it actually starts a bit. So,
yeah.
I mean, when I first started coming up here, the festivals started to kick in about halfway through the Fringe and into September. But they've tried to... And then there was the film festival as well, which they put a little bit more back in, but disappeared for a while.
With the Fringe is... Because I seem to remember when the Fringe was basically just 3 weeks, whereas now it almost feels like it was the entire month of August, because it started...
Well, that's it. It was 3 weeks, but a lot of the places start right at the beginning of August. A lot of people I know were travelling up in the end of July. So, yeah, it does go on forever. I can't imagine. I've been here 2 weeks, and I feel like I've been here for no time at all in all of my entire life. It's like, what's going on? Yeah, it is. But you're here all the time, so...
Yeah, I am here my entire life.
Your entire life. And you've got other festivals to do afterwards. I mean, the Edinburgh Horror Festival, I was going to say, the Edinburgh International Horror Festival.
Not yet.
Not yet! But plans are afoot. And there's, do you get involved with any of the other festivals outside the August period?
Not really, I guess. I mean, I'm... also in October, I'm planning to do the 48-hour film contest, which is kind of a...
That's a festival.
Yeah, ish. But no, I guess it's mostly in that, whether you count that or not, it's in that August to October period, and then the other 10 months get to just be themselves.
Yeah, so have you done the 48-hour film festival challenge before?
Sort of. I appeared on a set for one of them for the sum total of about 2 hours, because that was all I could do, and I co-wrote one which I was also working at the time, so I didn't turn up to that set at all. So I was technically in 2, but I don't feel like that really counts, because I mean, surely part of the point of doing that is just doing the entire 48 hours, potentially not sleeping, getting really stressed.
Yeah.
And doing that, and I haven't done that yet. So
well, that's it though, because I mean, I've done it I think 3 times. One of them I was just acting in it. One of them I was sort of we all collaborated, and one of them I ended up. It was my idea, and all the people I got were like, "Why?" And I was like, "I'll just write something," and they're like, "Why are you doing everything? Why are you the director?" It's because nobody else is doing anything. So I ended up doing quite a lot, and that was an exhausting 48 hours. I'm not sure it's always worth it. Was the one that you did worth it in the end?
I think so, but so going off to what you're saying, I mean, yeah, that's one of the... I guess it's a tricky thing in group work at any point, but yeah, it is extra stressful when you end up in a situation where you're simultaneously doing more than you wanted to, while at the same time everyone else thinks that you're actually just taking control because you're some kind of power-hungry maniac, and resenting you for that as well.
Well, that was it as well. I was in it, and I wrote it. But I wrote it because everyone was squabbling, and then I ended up editing it because nobody was around at that point. It's like, of course I mean, there was a cameraman involved, so I wasn't the camera person. But everything else, and I wasn't all the actors, but the actors just kept bitching. It's really difficult directing, because people they do resent you. All the time. I don't know how these auteurs do it. It's just like being a wand of steel? No, a rod of steel, and making sure that everybody knows that they're in charge. I think the French are good at it. Yeah.
Well, I think you definitely need a very thick skin, because either to deal with the criticism or just straight up not notice it. Yeah,
you do. I like directing, but it is a lot of a bind if nobody else is doing anything and then they're still shouting at you because you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I really like the one where I was just acting the most of all, because acting is a lot easier. I know actors say it's really difficult and it's an art and a craft, and it is obviously, but it's by far the easiest, because by the time the actor comes on, all the rest of the stuff, it's like they're just like, yeah, breeze up, do the words, go, oh, that was brilliant, get all the credit, and then all the other people are doing the work before and after. That's interesting. I am actually mostly an actor, so I don't know why I'm criticising actors.
No.
Actors are awful.
I'm gonna have to work with a lot of actors, especially in the coming months. So because of that, I'm gonna completely disagree with everything that's just been said.
Actors are amazing.
But maybe only because of that.
No, I was just like thinking of the producers, actors, they're animals, they're not. Have you ever eaten my pun? It's like, yeah. No, actors, most of my friends are actors, so I love you all dearly. You're all wonderful people.
Yes, no, I have a lot of, some of my best friends are actors, and they are wonderful people, but yeah, Hitchcock, going off the animal thing, because yeah, Hitchcock, who was a terrible person and should not be emulated in any way, apart from maybe making a lot of money and being very successful, said, actors are not cattle, but they should be treated as such. Which says a lot more about Hitchcock than it does about anyone else. But it is mildly funny.
Yeah. It's because it's like the front man of a band. It's like they don't necessarily do all the work, but they have to be charismatic and look good.
Yes.
And if everything fails, they get the blame.
Yes.
And if everything is amazing, they get all the credit. No matter what, really, the fault. It might be completely the director that's messed up their performance, but they'll get the blame. And at the same time, the director might have not done anything or might have done everything. And yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Balance.
They're the visible part.
They're the visible part.
So yeah, they're the ones that people are going to recognise. Whereas if anyone else, you could have written, directed, produced, and done everything and done a completely terrible job, and probably not a single audience member will ever recognise you on the street.
No.
And
that's why The Room was particularly egregious, because if he hadn't done the acting, maybe he could have got away with it as well. The whole Tommy Wiseau, yeah, because the directing was bad, but he was a worse actor. Whereas if he'd got a good actor, maybe it wouldn't have been so terrible. But then nobody would have taken any notice because it just would have been a mediocre film. I think it's.
Yeah, I guess it's not just the being bad, it's you're sitting there watching the ego of someone who's doing a lot of things very badly.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas there's other people that do all the stuff and do it all well enough that everyone thinks they're absolute geniuses. It's difficult, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's potentially unpopular opinion, but I think Ryan Gosling is someone who knows how to use himself and has had other people know how to use him. And so he's been good in some very good stuff, but I don't actually know if he's on his own a particularly brilliant actor, but I think he's just very useful.
I think Ryan Gosling comes across as a very humble person, and I think he probably does take direction well and works with other people, and I think working with other people is always the goal. So that's probably he's good enough to look amazing if he works with other people. I think really that's the whole thing. It's a collaborative process, and if there's any one ego sticking out, it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got lovely people you're working with, so it should be all right. But then you always think that before something starts, and then things go wrong, and people you go like, never work with that person again.
Well,
what was I thinking?
Yeah, it's the danger. You don't want to just work with the same people over and over again, but then if you do take a chance on a big group of people, you are likely to find there's at least one where you go, if I'd known about this at the start, maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah. But then it is the chemistry and how people react, because you could have a completely different experience with the same group of people if just one little thing has changed. It's so hard. It's like, wow, it's always been good, and then it isn't. So it is hard. Right, so you've written loads of stuff, and you tech loads of stuff, and is there any end to your talent?
So many ends to all of it. I mean, we've established I do a lot of stuff. We haven't really established if I do any of them well. So I guess it could potentially end right there. I probably wouldn't challenge myself to write and star in a musical. I feel like that would probably be a very obvious limit to my talents, whether they exist or not. And let's go with that.
Well, I mean, maybe you could take a risk, and maybe it would be catastrophically, I can't even say the word, catastrophically brilliant in the way that The Room was. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's lived off that film for about 20 odd years, so
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there are no worse ways to live, but also there are probably a lot of worse ways to live, so why
Yeah.
not?
It helps if you've got absolutely no shame.
Yes, and apparently some millions of dollars that no one is allowed to talk about. Yeah.
That always helps. All right, so enjoy the rest of your fringe. Thank you so
you.
much for talking to me.
No, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, see you tomorrow. I've got more wonderful guests. I think I've got Elliot Simpson tomorrow. It's also pre-recorded because I've got other things to do with my time. I know. See you soon.